What if you were never off track? What if every pause, every detour, every moment of stillness was your soul weaving itself back together? Tonight, we'll step into the truth that you're not lost, you're integrating. Let the cards reveal how your emotional recovery is already in motion. Welcome. This is Maiden Mother Crone Tarot, where we hold sacred space for women with ADHD. Today is day 19 of the 0303 series, where I show up for 30 days, bringing messages of joy, love, and support for this ADHD collective. My name is Kayla, and it's so nice to meet you. Or, if you're returning, welcome back. Before we begin, I would like to invite you to join me in some breathing exercises. I do this to anchor us into the present moment, to allow us to shake off the day, release the energies that we have been cycling through, and to step into a softer, more receptive state. One of the big goals of this channel is to really allow us to learn more, allow us to listen more to our bodies. And one way to do that is to slow down and to breathe. So tonight we'll do box breathing. We'll breathe in for 4, hold for 4, breathe out for 4, and hold for 4. We'll do 3 rounds of this. While you're breathing, I invite you to sink more and more and more into this moment. Settle more and more into your seat or your bed or your chair, wherever you are. Let all of the weights fall away. Soften, open. Know that you're safe. Are you ready? Thank you for doing that with me. Do a quick scan. Check in with yourself. Do you feel a bit more relaxed? Is a little less tension in your body? As the reading progresses, I invite you to continue soaking into the presence of now, releasing anything that you've been carrying, and softening more and more. In my tarot practice, I dedicate tarot decks and oracle card decks to the spiritual archetypes that I work with. This deck is dedicated to the maiden, and that'll be the first energy that we work with. Maiden, can you please give us guidance tonight on the topic of you're not lost, you're integrating? Tarot for emotional recovery for this ADHD collective. Can you please give us guidance tonight, please, Crone? I'm so sorry, Maiden. We're not lost. We're integrating. Tarot for emotional recovery. Okay. Well, that's the ones. All right, so we have the Death card, the 8 of Pentacles, the 7 of Pentacles, and the Page of Pentacles. I don't know if you saw that, but they all came out, and I tried to shuffle them, and they wouldn't go back in the deck, so they definitely all needed to come out together. And the way these landed, it's like this. We have like a stack, a wall of pentacles here. Thank you, Maiden. The next spiritual archetype that we will be working with tonight is the Mother. Mother, can you please give us guidance tonight on You're Not Lost, You're Integrating? Tarot for Emotional Recovery for this ADHD collective, please, Mother. Okay, that one, that one. So the first card was the Five of Pentacles, followed by the Seven of Swords, followed by the Empress, the Ten of Pentacles. Right. Five of Pentacles, Seven of Swords, Empress, and the Ten of Pentacles. And then the last spiritual archetype that we will work with tonight is that of the crone. And you guys, this is wild. Today, Witch and Scythe posted a video, and she was tapping into what she called the crone energy. And last night, I was talking about how when I was doing my pre-shuffle, I felt like this emptiness, this blankness, and I just kept talking about how quiet and abandoned it felt. Well, she was tapping into that same energy. And do you know what spiritual entity presented itself to her? The eel spirit. That was the card that came out for us last night. So I'm going to link last night's reading because that was really cool. And right after that, I'll link her reading so you can see that crossover. I was just amazed. It's just so validating when spirit shows up and is in completely different readers and completely different collectives, but the energy is still there. It just blows me away. So, Crone, can you please give us guidance tonight on the topic of You're Not Lost, You're Integrating? Tarot for Emotional Recovery. Guidance, please, Crone. Emotional recovery for this ADHD collective. You're not lost, you're integrating. Ooh. Okay, yeah. All right, so we got the Tower. It's the first card. Followed by the King of Swords. Then the Seven of Pentacles, which also came out last night, so, talking about it. And then we have the Moon. And this ties into so much of what Witch and Scythe was talking about, because she was talking about caverns and fault lines and cracks and coming up to the surface. So it's really interesting that energy is still hanging around. All right. So let's go ahead and begin. Emotional recovery. Oftentimes, as women with ADHD, we feel massively. And it's easy to feel like we're adrift in the ocean of our emotions, that we're lost. We have nothing to ground to, nothing to tether to. We're overwhelmed. And with the Maiden giving us this death card, this emotional recovery is the death of that state. But it also is speaking to how we feel in that emotional state. When we are so overwhelmed that we don't know the direction to go, we don't have any compass, any guiding light. It feels like the end. It feels like death. But I've said this over and over and over again on this channel. Healing is not the destination. Healing is the journey. And we've been given the Eight of Pentacles. This is the dedicated, the diligent, the continued effort of the skilled master builder. You only become the master builder because you've done it over and over and over, and you didn't quit. You didn't give up. So the Maiden is telling us here that this process is going to be one of continued commitment of continued practice of showing up for yourself, of putting in the work, the hard work. Because it's a lot easier to just sit back and blame everybody else for your problems, to blame your trauma, to blame your environment, to blame the world, your circumstances. And I say that with the most loving, understanding capacity I can, because I understand that we have no control over a lot of the things that happen to us. Trauma is trauma. It's serious. I understand we have to take all of those woundings. It's not something to be taken lightly. But I always challenge you here to take responsibility, take accountability for your emotions, take accountability for all of the healing work that you have to do. Nobody else is going to do it for you. Nobody else is going to show up and do the hard work where you're really digging down deep and saying, is this a me problem or is this something else? Nobody else is going to do that work for you, right? With this Eight of Pentacles, you're going to have to do it. You're going to have to do the hard work to become the master. And once you do, through that process, when you're showing up and going at it, you really want to make sure that you're evaluating every step of the way. The Seven of Pentacles is tenderly taking care of those freshly planted seeds all the way through to the harvest. We have to really show up for ourselves and continue to check in with our goals, check in with where we're trying to get. Is this still in alignment, right? Check in with our bodies. Does this still feel safe? Check in with our boundaries. We talked about boundaries last night. And really become a student. Become a student of our bodies and a student of our emotions. So from this death all the way to the student, right? I just got the image of Harry Potter and Voldemort. So in this emotional recovery, how can we go from feeling like all hope is lost, at the very end when they're like, there's no way, right? To this student. The Page of Pentacles is the slower, more cautious. You're still curious because you're a page, but maybe a little bit, I don't want to say skeptical, that's not the word. Cautious, I guess, is the best word. But don't just take everybody's word for it. Don't just take my word for it. Just because I tell you something doesn't mean that it's right. We have to use discernment. We have to check in with ourselves, check in with our morals, with our values, right? And we have to check in with our beliefs. We can be trying to heal something that we believe is our healing responsibility, and it's not even really ours. That's something else. And you can do healing work for your lineage. You can do healing work for your generation, like ancestral generations before you. But if it's too much, you don't have to. You can step back from that. You can say, I can't do this. It's not my responsibility, right? Then the mother gave us this Five of Pentacles. That's a lot of lack, a lot of feeling left out, not understood. Out here, she's sitting in the rain, right? And water is all about emotions. So you're being, covered, coated in those emotions. And understanding that to get through this emotional voyage where you're in the ocean, the seas are turbulent and there's just rocking and rocking. You really have to surrender. You have to settle in. Look, she's being coated in the rain. You have to feel the emotions. We can't just stash them and hope that it'll be fine. We can't just compartmentalize them and say, oh, I don't have time to deal with this right now. We can't sit in shame because of the programming of society that says you shouldn't be so sensitive. You shouldn't be so upset. We can't sit in that shame either. With the Seven of Swords coming up next from the mother, I feel like she's really inviting you to look and see what ways you have deceived yourself, right? The Seven of Swords can often be the card of deceit, the card of something being stolen. So, how have you deceived yourself? Are you further along in your emotional recovery than you think? Have you healed way more than you give yourself credit for? We don't really take the time to look at how far we've come. I invite you to right now. Let me know in the comments. Think about yourself a year ago. How far have you come since then? I know I have come a long way in my own personal journey, and I'm so proud of myself. And I hope you are so proud of you. I've said this, healing is a journey. It's not a destination. We got to keep showing up, keep doing the work, keep holding the space, keep regulating our nervous system so that we can process these emotions, so that we can really get into this next card from the mother, into this empress state, right? This is pure creation. The mother of all, the nurturer. She has all of the elements of each queen, right? A true, true empress, right? The empress isn't blown around by her emotions. The empress isn't overwhelmed. And look, even in this card, oh man, if I can get it, I'm sorry. Even in this card, there's a waterfall in the back. Raging waters. She's not blown away. She's not washed away. She's grounded in her worth, in her values. She's grounded because she's done the work. She knows what she did. She knows where she was and who she is now. And because she's done that, look, she's pregnant. The Empress is pregnant here, right? Because she's done that for herself. The next card we got, was the Ten of Pentacles. Because she's been so grounded for herself. Look at the age here. The generations. We were talking about generational healing earlier. Because the Empress has done this, her lineage, her future generations won't carry the same trauma, the same baggage into their lives. Oh, wow, that's so gorgeous. And then the next card we got was the Tower from the Crone. And this really is the epitome of what this emotional roller coaster feels like when we're in the overwhelmed ship about to flip over state. It's chaos. It's disorder. And part of the problem is we're trying to control it. We're trying to grab the wheel of the boat and keep it from flipping over instead of just surrendering. And falling into our emotions, allowing them to be without judgment and understanding that they'll pass. And that's okay. Understanding that once the emotions pass, it gives us this next card, the King of Swords. We have the ability to come in with mental clarity because it's not tucked away in your subconscious, because you allowed it to rise up and be felt in its fullest form. We then are able to think about it, to analyze it and say, what triggered this emotion in me? Why did I get so upset? Was it because of something someone said? Was I triggered? Am I just hormonal right now? Is it tied into astrology? Why? Why did this take over? Maybe you didn't have enough sleep. Whatever the reason, when we allow ourselves to fully feel our emotions, then we can then process them. We are able to, look, he's holding a paper in his hand. We can journal about our emotions. We can journal about what we felt, and we can explore even more so that we can understand and become the Empress. So we can see when those feelings We can say, no, that's not my narrative. I don't succumb or I don't subscribe to that belief anymore. And we can cut it away, right? We were then given the Seven of Pentacles. Oh, again, and it's under the same line. Seven of Pentacles, the third card is what we got from the Maiden. And this third card from the Crone. So this third row, this is what we got. We go down the line. So to me, that's saying we really, really, really have to tend the seed of this potential Empress energy. Whether that means you need to go outside and ground, or if it means you need to spend some time with food here. You know, maybe cooking and tasting really can ground you into your senses whenever you're dealing with these emotional overwhelms. That's a good way to come back. You know, we talked a little bit about that last night where you can ground in with like water, or you can rock yourself, different ways to mother yourself out of an emotional overwhelmed situation. And then the last card the Crone gave us is the Moon. The Moon can be, you know, illusions, or it can be the deeper layers of the subconscious, the stuff that's underneath the surface that we're not aware of, that's beyond our consciousness, right? So our emotional recovery, it's all about rewriting the programming, right? The reason we get stuck in these loops, these shame loops, is because we either, one, don't allow ourselves to feel, or we feel and then we don't think we have any control over it. So, like I said, I invite you, do feel these feelings. And then you're going to have to analyze them, like we talked about with the King of Swords. Analyze them, write them down, work through them. That is the healing process. That is the journey, right? And it's okay if it's not easy right away. Nothing is. With this Eight of Pentacles, this guy didn't come out on top the first time he tried to lay a brick. The first time he was trying to carve this pentacle, right? It didn't happen the very first time. He had to do it again and again and again. So in that thought pattern, you need to give yourself grace. Give yourself time, set realistic expectations, understand. Like I say this all the time, you didn't get here in 5 minutes, in a day. It took you a lifetime to be where you are right now. And through that lifetime, you've never once been off track, right? It may not have been the fastest route to where you were wanting to go, but you were always where you were meant to be. We have to root into the belief that the universe is for us, not against us. That anything that's happened to us, any emotion that we felt, is there to be our teacher, is there to teach us so that we can be sovereign over ourselves, so we can have those healthy boundaries that we talked about last night, so that we can learn how to embody, truly embody this Empress energy. I'm just so thankful this card came out. When the cards are on the table, friends, that means the energy's there. It's the potential. We can step into it. And so this is so encouraging to me to see that we have the potential of the Empress. We have the potential of the Ten of Pentacles, right? Wealth is emotional stability. It's freedom. It's the ability to express yourself in a safe environment, right? Pentacles is grounded energy. So it's grounding into safety, understanding that your body is safe, that you're safe to feel the emotions, that you're no longer judging yourself, right? We've talked about the inner critic, that you're allowing yourself to feel without judgment, and that you're seeing your inner critic, but you're soothing her and saying, it's okay. It's okay. That was the old story. That's not ours anymore. But really understanding that if we don't dig into our emotions, if we don't tap into them and see what's going on, this subconscious information is always going to be out of grasp, and we'll stay in these loops, in these continual loops. Can you pull a card for me for general guidance? I sure can. Inner Compass by, can't read that. Which deck do you want me to use? Can you let me know in the chat? Do you want me to use the Maiden, the Mother, or the Crone? You may not be here anymore. I don't see you, so I'm just going to use the Maiden. Maiden, can we get a card for general guidance for this Inner Compass, please? General guidance, please. The Lovers. The most common. I use all my decks, so none of them are the most common. But I guess Rider Waite is the most common, right? You got the Lovers. I'm trying to cover up the nudity here. Let's see. There you go. There you go. So to me, the Lovers card is all about self-compassion. Is all about true self-acceptance and stepping into honoring your soul, right? And it's really what we're talking about here. Giving yourself space, giving yourself emotional space to feel and to know that you're safe. But, Lovers is also about choice. So maybe there's something that you need to make a choice about. And the guidance here is to really trust your gut, to trust that immediate yes no feeling that you get. Like I talk about this a lot, feel into your body. So whenever you are thinking about whatever this choice is, you need to get quiet, get still, and what is the first thought that comes to your mind? And maybe you need to do, like, there's an exercise where you can write a bunch of questions down and then just answer them as quick as you can. And if you have somebody that can help you with it, they can read the questions to you. And then whatever question it is that you're trying to figure out the answer to, add it into the list. Don't put it the first, but like mix it in. So then whenever they ask you the question, you know right away what you want to do. And then I'm also thinking of the Friends episode, wherever Rachel is worried that she's pregnant and Phoebe lies to her and says she's not pregnant. So maybe there's some like reverse psychology you can try there as well. Like imagine your outcome both ways. So yeah. Happy to give you a reading, my friend. Thanks for tuning in. Hope that was helpful. But to conclude our general reading on the topic of you're not lost, you're integrating, the card I want to keep up, card I want to focus on is the Empress. This is our power, you guys. This is our power. Our divine feminine energy, our receptivity. And we would not be able to be receptive if we didn't sit in our emotions, right? That is our superpower as well as women with ADHD, being able to sit with our emotions and feel the emotions of others and identify them. If we didn't do that, then we wouldn't know what's going on with everybody else. So there just has to be a healthy balance there, right? We have to set up our healthy boundaries, which I talked about last night. We have to make sure our body is feeling safe. And I think that's all. Wow, this is a beautiful message from our archetypes tonight. Sending love and light to anyone that's open to receive. Thank you, Maiden. Thank you, Mother. Thank you, Crone, for your guidance today. Thank you all for joining. What do you see for growth? Well, I think that's all I got for tonight, my friend. But tune in. I have a couple more days of every. But in this channel, I like to remind you to come as you are and stay as you become. Bye, my friends.